one goes up, one goes down.
Yeah. Wow, what a chord. And the amp he was playing to literally melted the power tubes.
Too much tone in those fingers.
And how many people come into the store like on a Saturday?
Oh, Saturdays and Sundays are swamped.
Those are the same magnets as in PAFs. I wouldn't want to play the guitar through an SVT.
No, maybe not.
But,
no.
And my phone blew up. So I'm headed for Amsterdam, said, I got on an airplane, Ryanair yesterday, so I could come see you. I didn't want to sit around for a day. I want to come talk to you.
Nice that they booked you on the Ryanair, not a nice British Airways flight to get you over here.
That's not BA, but it's all right.
It's all right, it'll work.
They made me buy a seat for my guitar.
Really?
Any other airline, you can put it in the overhead. Not on them. It had a special buckle for it. Huh?
Well, it's better they do it that way than they take it off and it goes somewhere else.
Time out. That happened in China to me. Really? They took it from us and broke both the guitars. We couldn't play.
Really?
Yeah, true story.
And the guitar that you had in said bag was this one?
In the bag, in the seat, right.
In the seat next to you.
So what that is a charcoal Phoenix that was an extra one, and I didn't know about it, and they said there's an extra one up here in product development. Do you want it? I said, sure. I plugged it in against the one that I played at the 40th anniversary party, and I thought it sounded thicker and bigger.
Really?
And so I've been taking it around, and now there's a guitar player in England that's begging me to buy it off me. I've got a bad decision to make. I like that guitar.
Well, maybe I'll help with that decision. We'll see.
All I can tell you is that there are no more charcoal Phoenixes left. There's one in this country, and there's one at home, and that's it. They're
really?
gone.
Yeah.
They are selling everywhere.
So what was the, like, you know, we had one out earlier, one of your Paul's guitars from, is it a 25 guitar? 2024. Yeah. So what's the, you know, a lot of people would look at that and see that, you know, it's kind of got similar pickups and
the pickups
kind of
are
stuff
very
on
similar.
there.
What's different about it, this has a zero Cody fretboard and a Stratocaster neck. It's incredibly strong. You can't bend the neck.
Right.
And the strength of the neck makes the guitar have a different kind of tone. Yeah. And I'm getting really good responses. The John McLaughlin started this, then this, and it's really an extension of that. I'm not having trouble getting my tone. By the way, you were making a hell of a squat before this video really started. Yeah. You know, it's unusual these days as someone that runs a business like Peach plays guitar as well as you do. But in the old days, very often the guy that ran the shop could really play.
Yeah,
and it's nice to walk back in and hear you play like that.
Thanks, Paul. I appreciate that. And obviously, whenever I pick up a PRS, you know, I think back to when I first started working at Peach when I was about 14 or 15, and Derek, the previous owner of Peach, gave me a VHS to watch of Paul Reed Smith guitars because, like, you know, there was internet then, but I didn't have internet. You know, I'd never seen a Paul Reed Smith guitar before, and I get home and watch the video, and there you are, you know, massive hair, the full rig, and I was like, wow! I'd never heard a guitar that sounded like sustained like that. So when I pick up a PRS, I think of you, obviously, and I think of David Grissom as well. You know, someone that just absolutely, I love his guitar playing, and you know, I hear him play a Telly, and you know, I hear him play 335 and stuff like that. But he just sounds like him when he plays one of your guitars, yeah. You know, and even when that was a custom 24, you know, with Joe Ely or the standard 24, it still made him sound more like him. And even though I try and rip David Grissom off when I play a PRS, I think it probably still just about manages to sound like me. So, but yeah, no, really inspiring.
That's the guitar that I brought. We're playing in Europe, and it's been fun to play festivals and hear the sound of this thing come out of the PA.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely wonderful, and like we're playing at a pretty low volume level here as well. And you know, I've got the horse meat pedal on through an amp that we're currently selling for £399. You know, yes, we know this is an expensive guitar, but we've not put it through an amp rig that costs 20 grand
That's
as well.
the Hendrix 20.
Yeah.
I go into the warehouse and you got a stack of them.
I know, well, we love them.
Well,
it's
they
the best
sound
amp
good.
you can get for the money. It's insane. I mean, you know, there's a lot of like, you know, Marshall style amps out there that cost thousands of pounds and stuff. And every time we play through one of these with all the features that it has, it's just so much fun. So I've got the horse meat on just for a little bit of boost. This is without. So just with a little bit of boost now.
So,
When I roll that volume.
Story of this amp?
Yeah, go on, tell me.
We got permission from Janie Hendrix to go into Paul Allen's museum and open Hendrix's amp from Woodstock. That's exactly the same circuit.
Really?
With a really good 20-watt output transformer, but the only thing we did additionally was to add the master volume. There was no master volume on his amp. That was his PA.
Yeah.
He's running 4, I mean, a lot of times he was running 4 4x12 cabinets. At Woodstock, he had a cabinet next to him, right? What a sound.
Yeah, insane sound. I mean, we've got one just there, one of the older HX 100s.
Yeah, well, it's the same circuit, but that's a 20-watt version of it.
Yeah, and this thing just sounds amazing. I mean, like, listen to the roll-off on this as well. So the pedal's still on. So, and then when you bring the volume back up, and then on the bridge pickup. All from the guitar.
So
Super fun.
this morning and last night, my phone blew up.
Yeah.
Two things going on. Obviously, the pseudo riots that were happening in LA and all the police and National Guard. And the other part was that Rick Beato put out this video and my phone blew up over it. Basically, I had challenged him. I said, well, why don't you find the best Strat you've ever heard in your whole life and we'll shoot some SEs out with it. He goes, I like that idea. Yeah. And so they were having trouble finding what they had experienced as the best Strat they ever touched. So I sent them a 63 and I sent them a 55. And then they got their hands on a 62, and then I borrowed from Dave Rogers in La Crosse, Wisconsin, from his museum what they shot out. They were going to set a 61, but they ended up sending a 62. So there's two made on the same day, one from later and one from earlier. And they shot those 4 guitars out until they decided which one they liked the best. Then they shot that one out with the 2 SEs. And it's got my phone blown up.
Really?
Yeah. So for that whole side of things, we worked so hard on getting those pickups and the tone rate that it was nice to actually see that happen. But I didn't have a control over what amp they were going to use, what cabinet they were going to use, whatever it was. It was fine with me because it's got to survive no matter what the situation was. And then it held its own, and maybe in some places people were saying, well, this is better than that, and this is it. Fascinating.
Well,
but in your world of selling guitars in this market, it's going to become news. That happened today.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and when he puts something out, it's a statement, isn't it? It's like people take note of what it's all about.
Well, really, what was fascinating for me, I was standing in the room and I said to Rick, I don't think anybody's ever shot a 55, 2 62s and a 63 out on video. You've never heard the difference between a 55 and a 63 in a video in our industry. whoa, here we go.
Yeah.
And my recommendation was that they just make it, we're shooting 4 old finished Strats out, but they changed the name.
Yeah.
But you can't control your kitchen sink, but it went well.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I like this shop is that there's a lot of that going on. You've got vintage guitars here. You've got all the industry icons here. You've got some of the stuff that are lesser known, and this room's full of gear.
Yeah, full of cool stuff.
And you know what all these. You have a photographic memory for this stuff. You know what that is. Yeah. I wouldn't want to play the guitar through an SVT.
No, maybe not.
But if you watch early Rolling Stones concerts, they were playing guitar through SVTs. Did you ever see that?
No.
With Mick Taylor and all that stuff. Yeah. They endorsed Ampeg.
Yeah, because I know that then Josh from Queens of Stone Age was on this big hunt for trying to get that kind of sound, and he ended up using these old Ampeg combos. I'm not sure if
VT40 was a V2 with 410s.
Yeah, I think it was.
And a VT22 was a V4 with 212s.
Right.
Oh man.
Wade absolutely.
You ever picked up a VT22? Was probably the heaviest combo amp ever made.
Yeah, I mean,
it took 2 people to pick it up.
I had one of those Super 6 reverbs. Did you ever see that? The Fender that was 610s in?
Yeah.
One of those as well. I mean, that would probably take on the challenge as well. A 610 Fender combo.
They also made a quad reverb, which was
Albert Collins' amp. Yeah.
So Matt Murphy used to play through one of those in James Cotton Band. I saw that band when I was a young man in college. They were unbelievable.
Really, yeah.
Whoa! I mean, every tune sounded like it was going faster, and time wasn't moving. Yeah. I mean, everybody was jumping out of their seats. It was so cool.
Oh, amazing! Yeah. Well, we're so lucky that we're in a golden age, aren't we, of gear now? I know me and you, we both love the old stuff because it's all shrouded in mystery and it's all fun, and we love the almost hunting the stuff down is sometimes better than actually playing it, isn't it? And but when I did the first demo of this amp, we used one of the SE Silver Skies,
right?
That, and with the horse meat pedal as well. Currently that's a rig. One of those heads, that guitar, and one of those pedals, I think we could sell to someone for about £1,200-1,300 for the whole lot. And that's
a good deal.
Yeah, and it's like I'd have killed. Even when I first started playing, when I was like 14, 15-ish, that sort of time, I would have killed for a tone, like that. And my tone
the
definitely
SE
wasn't
Silver
that good.
Sky is one of the shootout guitars in that video, right?
Yeah.
So I have nothing but questions for you.
Okay.
Things are changing.
Yeah.
We're losing some dealers, You guys are getting bigger. Online's getting stronger. Is your online business good?
Yeah, online is still very, very strong, and our in-store business has gotten even better as well.
Well, I walked into the store, and you've worked really hard on it. This is what we call in America a destination store, somewhere you would want to go to try a whole bunch of guitars.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
well, that's really what we want. So.
And how many people come into the store like on a Saturday?
Oh, Saturdays and Sundays are swamped all day. And particularly between about 11 a.m. to about 2 o'clock.
Oh, they left during lunch to go get a guitar.
Oh, it's like I don't work Saturdays anymore just for that very reason, because it gets so busy.
What, you're talking about 60 or 70 people in the store?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and we've got literally 2 car parks now, and both of those are always full for that sort of time. And sometimes, like Saturday morning, the guys are like 10:30. They're like, yes, no. Not a lot of people around today. I wonder if we're going to have a quiet day. And then bang, just comes on, and it all just happens between like those 2 to 4 hours of insanity, which was why we were like kind of keen of like during the week or at times to have like an appointment type sort of service, so that we could guarantee you that you had the best possible service. You could come and check out this room, you could go in the vintage room and check all that stuff out.
If there's 70 people in the room, you don't have 35 salespeople on the floor. I mean, they're going to have to...
But you don't need them at all times, because of all those other times in the week. They're going to be standing around going, I'll just go and play some guitar, which is cool as well. That's fine. But, we do what we can under the circumstances. But, I'm pleased we're in that position and not looking at the door at midday or 1 o'clock going, looking at the tumbleweed.
You don't have tumbleweeds in this country.
Well, you know what I meant, though.
Of course I do. So, for me, How much have you guys grown in the last couple of years? I mean, you guys have been growing 15, 20% a year, something like that?
Yeah, well, we're in 2019, we've grown between then and now over 100%.
That's stunning.
Yeah, I mean, it's been like, you know, I've definitely lost a few hairs, and like a lot of nights of sleep have been lost, and it's been hard, but, you know, it's hard work. You got to do it. You got to put it in there, haven't you? So,
well, I think having a destination store in a guitar country, England, UK is a guitar country.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I mean, the guitars they're loved here.
Yeah.
They're loved in Benelux, of all weird things.
Yeah.
Germans love guitars. I was told that the French didn't. You know, there was no way. I went to the window, staying in Paris, at 2 a.m, and I could see at least 3 people at any given moment with a guitar and a gig bag over their backs walking down the street in Pigalle. Really? I was like, whoa, there are so many people here that love guitars. And so congratulations.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's been, you know, and thank you as well. You know, a lot of stuff that we've spoken about over the years has really like stuck in my head. And obviously the guitar, you know, aside from our relationship, just, you know, the PRS has grown massively for us, and the SE business, you know, what I said to you at NAMM, PRS SE was our biggest line last year, and we sold over 1,000 guitars. Boom.
Thank you.
Come on, what else have we got? What else can we check out? I see we've got one of these new SC56s here. I don't know a lot about this because this was only just released last week, wasn't it?
I think you'll like it. Let's try it.
Let's do it. So 56, quite an important year, I understand. I do know that bit.
They did, and you know, that was the year they started to tool up the humbucker.
Right. Anything else happen in that year?
Yeah, they started to go from P90s to humbuckings.
Anything else?
As the year I was born, but you're not supposed to bring that up.
Right, come on, I'll get back on point, come on.
It's fine, listen, I was in diapers in 56, it's fine.
So, SC56, because when I first saw SC56, I hadn't seen the guitar, I thought, P90s, it's going to be a P90 guitar.
No, that's the year they started tooling up the humbucking.
Right.
And those covers are made out of the same material they started with. You should try the same exact thing you were doing with the other guitar.
Yeah,
you got the horse meat on.
Horse meat on. So let's bring that volume down.
You can hear it's a little quieter than the other guitar.
Yeah.
The high mid-range is a little bit lower in frequency, and there's not as much high
it's
way
thick,
up
isn't
top.
it?
Yeah, it's real thick. That comes from the covers.
Right. They're great shape. I know that sounds incredibly sad, but the shape just looks right as well.
Well, they actually are the right radiuses, but that's a different conversation. Look, it turns out that 58 PAFs and 59 PAFs sounded different because they were different.
Yeah.
When we were literally unwound them a wind at a time, which I know is sacrilegious, but without spending the $5,000 to unwind them, we wouldn't know.
No,
You can't wind it back.
No, sure, no.
But we put it in between. The McCarty 3s are in between, and I think they sound really good. I wasn't worried at all when you plug this guitar in against my guitar, because what you just heard is exactly the way it was invented to be.
Yeah. Let me try this neck pickup as well. Let's see how that one goes.
So the thing that's cool about the bass pickup, if you use it only it all the way up, it sounds like you're playing in a tunnel under the road.
See those two notes when you get them together. One goes up, one goes down.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Very cool.
I mean, that is just really, you know, a lot of the times those neck pickups where they're trying to get that creamier sound, they lose the definition. That's got the creaminess, but you can still pick out the...
So let me ask you a question. Do you have a 50s Les Paul in the building with humbuckers?
Not with humbuckers, no. I've got there's a 53, but a P90 guitar.
It's not the same animal.
No, not at all. I've got a 64 335, but they're not PAFs.
No. You know what's interesting?
One day I will.
In an old P90, those are the same magnets as in PAFs because they were taking them out of the same box.
Of course, yeah.
But people don't really think about that.
No, they think there was like you know, this like mystery around it all, but it's just like, you know.
They were border magnets. I like the sound of these pickups. I think they sound really old. We're using American Alnico that's made in America that has the same formula as the old stuff. I mean, we're not having any troubles with artists right now where they're plugging these things in with these things. Well, what is that? But it also has some lightning holes in it, so the guitar's not so heavy.
This feels like the weight of like a custom 22 or something like that, maybe even lighter.
So what we did was put posts in the middle of the holes to keep it from vibrating, so that it wouldn't have a hollow sound.
Yeah, I mean, this guitar is really, really resonant. Anyway, you can. So yeah, super lightweight, the pickups sound amazing. Yeah, it's just a really, really sweet guitar. And I know you spend so much time on bridges, on you know, there's separate material sometimes on the inside of the post and all that kind of stuff. Go on, tell me.
This is where the sound originates.
Yeah.
And even if you're playing open, then you've got a bone nut and this bridge and the frets, and it's not even touching it.
No.
So it makes a big difference. I wish it didn't, but it does. Unless you get all the materials dead right, I mean, you can change the materials and it changes the tone of the guitar. The question is, what do you want? You know, so for me, here, let me show you.
So I'd love to hear you.
That's okay. So for me, what is it? Don't kill me for playing it wrong. What is that thing you keep doing? You keep going. Is it this against this?
Yeah.
David
Grissom lick number one.
I never did it before. See, what I know is.
That sounds killer.
Yeah.
That sounds killer. And another one I can't figure out, and someone will probably tell me in the comments, but David Grissom's got a like an instrumental tune that he does in C sharp.
Yeah.
But you know, if he's playing in G, you'd have that open G string, or E, you'd have the E and the B. But when he does this C sharp one, he uses the B.
Yeah. So let me show you another David Grissom thing for fun. So I think, and I'm guessing, that John Mellencamp went. And he goes. It's got two G notes. Wow, what a chord. Where did you do it? Shit, I've never played it before.
You get just it's that the blues note, isn't it? There's the lick.
David's going to watch this.
He's going to want to get paid for this one.
Oh, yeah, right. Sorry, David. Look,
I love you. You're the man. You're the man, David.
I just never tried to cop his licks.
Yeah. Well,
all I do is sit there in the wash of it and go, cool.
Yeah.
I like the way he plays.
Well, he just like, you know, he's in that rich tradition, the Texan thing of like the power trio sound where you're trying to get lead and rhythm out of one guitar. And, you know, he absolutely nails it. I
I'll
love
tell you,
what he does.
David Grissom's tour, we were playing at Whiskey A Go-Go, and he was sitting in with us. And the amp he was playing through literally melted the power tubes. The power tubes melted the glass.
Too much tone in those fingers.
He walked over, slammed into a Marshall half stack, turned it all the way up, and walked out to the front of the stage because it was hard to deal with the fact that your amp blew up while you're sitting in and burned it down. And I leaned over to the other guitar player and said, oh, what a gunslinger.
Yeah. Well, the first time
you ever seen him do that?
Not seen. I've seen him get pretty angry up there a few times, where he's like, you know, mean.
It's actually it's not angry. It's more like a really kind
focus. Yeah.
Mean,
yeah. I'm in the zone.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, he's in the zone. I love his playing, and you know, incredible tone guy. Just great, fantastic player. You know, the way he blends the jazz, blues, country stuff, and he just still sounds like him. So yeah.
Well,
but yeah, what an amazing
You're
tone.
playing SC56, and we do make a DGT.
Yeah. No, and I still love that guitar as well, obviously. But this has got
sold a lot of those here.
We have. And with this guitar, you don't have to try to get that sound. It's just there. It's just there straight away.
So this is your first time picking up an SC56?
Yeah, this is the first one I've seen, yeah.
So they did a thing in Guitar Player, 100 best ways to get a guitar tone.
Yeah.
And my friend Ralph Perucci went berserk. I said, what's wrong, Ralph? What's wrong? He says, they forgot to name one of them. I said, what's that? He said, take a lesson.
Yeah.
In a way, you know, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're talking about how to approach the instrument so that the harmonics are beating each other against each other in a very musical way.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. I mean, and also just like play through a loud amp, I would put pretty high as well, because like I see so many fantastic guitar players that, you know, I'm not knocking the digital stuff or anything like that at all, because it's amazing. We sell loads of that sort of stuff. But even some of the young guys that work here have never played through, until they started working here, through a loud tube amp, you know, and then they're like, oh my God, this is a real awakening. Awakening. This is tricky. This is hard.
So what I do with guitar lessons is I'll sit people at the top of the stairs, playing through a 100-watt amp downstairs, and the look on their faces when they finally figure out what it's doing with their hands and how it feels connected to them. Yeah. They were like, I had no idea.
No, really, yeah. Oh, well, yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, you know, you can hear like the tonal differences between, you know, the two guitars that we've tried so far. You know, they've got their own characteristics, which, you know, when you get a good guitar through a good amp like this, they make you play slightly differently, don't they, as well? Do. Which you don't get through any kind of simulation. But
well,
that's
maybe
me
a
just
little
being
bit,
an
but
old
not to the difference, but you're here and here. You're using that as a boost through that, and it's cleaning up. If you're playing light, it's not distorting.
Yeah.
And some amps, you play one note and it's clean. You play two notes and it kicks in.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, it's great. It's fun. A lot of fun, and yeah, this guitar's phenomenal. Like every note sustains and playability's like, you know, it's just.
So how many SC56s do you have here? These are the prototypes that you got, right?
There's, I think there's 3 or 4 here at the moment.
Well, they won't last long after this video.
These are mind blowing, and they are. This one I reckon must be mid £7-ish, something like that. We'll put all the weights in and stuff as well afterwards, but this feels super light and just, yeah, good. Great couch guitar.
Let's play a game.
Right, let's do it.
Ask me a question you always want to know but you didn't want to ask, and I'll ask you a question I always want to know but I didn't want to ask.
Right, okay, well, I'm going to ask you a question, right?
You always wanted to ask but you didn't. Because I know we had that lunch where we asked almost every question.
Yeah.
Remember that? So I was in the UK, and I'm sitting in this hotel in the restaurant, and here you walk in, and we went for it. I'll start. How's that?
Yeah, you go first, yeah.
You have a dedicated clientele.
Yeah.
This is a place where your and your staff's opinions matter. They're coming here for answers. They're looking for an expertise. Do you see it that way? Do you see that your clients are looking, your customers are looking for an expertise in the guitar world, and that you're teaching your salespeople to give them that expertise? Because most people, literally, they'll go, I heard everything you said, but I'll research it on the internet tonight. But in this place, it's more about that's the final answer, and they believe you. Do you guys actually think about that?
Yeah, when people take time out and, you said earlier, it's a destination type environment. We owe it to them to give them the best possible service if they make the effort to come and see us. And, there's too much new product coming out now across the board from all the different manufacturers. It's sometimes tough for the guys to stay on top of, all the stuff. And, these kinds of things, this is the area where we're almost comfortable because, we all got into it because of the sounds of Clapton and Jeff Beck and Stevie Ray and all that kind of stuff. So this just feels natural to me, but when we have other products coming in from the newer makers and stuff, we have to spend more time on it, and we have to be an authority on that stuff as well. If someone's going to make that effort to come and see us and they've already driven past lots of other good guitar stores to get to us, we can't give them no BS.
So you're using the word service in a way I've never heard. Normally service means you take it to the repairman in the shop and it gets serviced.
Yeah.
But you're talking about giving them that expertise that I'm talking about. You see that as service, where you're serving the customer with the information they need to make a good decision.
Exactly.
Well, I've never heard it used that way.
So the correct service is when someone comes through the door, we want them to feel at home, no pressure, and we just want to help them make the right decision, basically.
And that is something you and your staff talk about?
All the time. That is, of course we're chasing numbers, we have to put money through the till, we are a business, but it's a long-term thing. We're not about kind of like, let's just try and get as much money out of this guy as possible while he's here, because that would just bite you on the arse. So that is not a route that we go down. This is a passion thing. No one, the next person that comes in that buys this guitar, they don't need to buy it. They're buying it through their passion. They love it. They've probably already got 16 guitars similar to this one already. But
kind of like you.
Yeah,
but I have almost no guitars.
Yeah, well, I'm probably down to like an amount that I play now that really count and stuff. I've had times where I've had like 50, 60 guitars and can't really remember where they all are. But they're in people's houses probably, half my staff's houses.
Oh, well, that's a good answer.
But yeah, that's it really. We owe it to the customers to do right by them and to just give them the right experience when they come here. Because I do think it's daunting going into a music shop sometimes, especially if someone is nervous about the way that they play or anything like that, and that makes no difference to us whatsoever. When someone comes in, the anxiety has got to be taken away, and they've got to just feel like really welcome and just part of what we're trying to do, really. So does that answer your question?
Perfectly.
Long answer.
No, actually, it's perfect, because I suspected that's what was going on, but look, in our world, we're sharing all the information that we understand about guitars because it's the right thing to do. We could be the guys that never say a word, never give an interview. you go online, there's almost no interviews of John Bonham. He didn't give them, right?
No.
Well, it didn't stop how powerful a drummer he was in the world,
absolutely.
right? In a way, him not talking made it better, right?
No.
But we've made the decision to be as open about the information as it is possible to be. And the fact that you invite us here to have this conversation, I adore. There's not one thing you would want to know about the insides of our place that you don't know, that you wonder about.
I just really want to know, like, kind of I've been very lucky to go to the factory a few times,
Yeah.
a few of the PRS experiences, even the very first one, which is where I first saw David Grissom play. And he had really short hair back then as well, not the big curly hair. Yeah. And but no, I really just want to know, like, what is next for you and the brand kind of moving forward. I know these are like the sort of questions that are like, oh, not this question again, but our customers would love to know that, and I'd love to know, like, what the future holds, really. Okay. What you think.
I'm going to give you a weird answer.
Okay.
My place is peaking right now.
Yeah.
So it's like Gibson was peaking in '59, or Martin was peaking in '43, or they were peaking in '62 or something, and Fender was peaking in Tellys they were peaking in 52 or 53.
Yeah, but in
Strats they were peaking somewhere between 62 and 64, right?
Yeah.
And it depends on what model it was. 335s in 60 or something like that.
Yeah.
So my place, what I want is for that to not be a this. I want it to be a this. I'd like that the place is keeping this caliber of wood drying, caliber of neck making, caliber of pickup making, caliber of finishing, caliber of your responses, that it's giving you a very musical response when you're asking it to. You're asking this thing to do things when you're playing. Yeah. So what I want is a continuation with that going down. That's what I want. Once you're making an instrument that's good enough for an extraordinary guitar player, I think you need to stop for just a second, because the way I see these rock stars, and I have been accusing them of it, I accuse them of being race car drivers. They are literally finely tuned race car drivers, and they want the car to do all the right things and the turns and this, that, and the other. You're being a race car driver. You're taking the guitar out on the track, on your version of the track, right? I see these guys in Maui that are dropping in on these 35-foot waves without a tow rope, and they're at 30. What they're doing is unbelievable. And for me, I see a kin to it, that the race car drivers, these extraordinary surfers, and what these guitar players are doing with amps and PAs. I mean, in a way, they're riding, and this PA is immense, and they're trying to get it to speak to all these people. I would like it to continue. Now, I know that's a weird answer, but right now, I like where we are. I like the guitar making. I like that I had never tried that guitar, and I knew what it was going to sound like when you picked it up, and I wasn't apologizing. That I really, really, really liked. So I want that to continue. I know I want it to continue, that you plug into these things, HDRX 20s, in 2 years, and it sounds exactly the same, if not better. I don't want it to go down. And very, very often, that happens, where every year that they made guitars in the 50s, they would change it, and some years was a better year, and some years a worse year. I would rather it was much more even. That's what I want.
Well,
Whether I can get it or not, I don't know, but I can tell you my entire place is dead focused on not budging where we are. And we've worked so hard to have our good years. This is our time, in my opinion.
Totally, and I think the guitars, that you make every day, you could say the best guitars that we make are the guitars that we make today.
Well, that would be a nice thing to say. It's not for us to say, but I am allowed to say that I think right now our place is peaking. I can tell you that the humidity control in our place has never been better. The wood supply has never been better. The magnet supply and the parts for the pickups have never been better. I think that the setups and all that stuff has never been better. So, I mean, you're not struggling with the fret level. You're not struggling with dead notes. You're not struggling with it. I can't control my kitchen sink.
No.
I mean, but I didn't touch this guitar before you got it, and it's doing its job. That's what I want.
There's nothing that I'd want to change on this guitar
Good.
either. There's nothing that like I need to put this on this because I think it's going to do that when I do. It's just straight out the box. It's a perfect
You know what I don't
tool
like?
for a job.
People go, I love this guitar. You got a red one? And I'm like, wait a minute. You just told me you loved it. No. You got a red one? I'm like,
Welcome to our world. How many thousand guitars we've got in stock and we still don't have the right one at all times. Come on.
No. The customers do that. If you only had a. If you only had it.
But then you go, well, actually, I have. I've got one.
No, but if you only had it, you'll bring it out and they'll say it again.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I'm not quite that one, actually. I meant the other one.
Okay, you've heard that before?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, yeah, what a wonderful guitar. Absolutely amazing.
There's another one of those here, and I'm telling you that the window is very, very narrow. The other one's going to sound the same.
Yeah.
We're good at making the window narrow. Some guitar companies, the window's really wide. You got a bad one and a good one. Ours is narrow. My job is to try to move the window up.
Yeah. Well, we're all about, when we sell online, we want to really be able to make a difference with our setups, the photography, and all that kind of stuff that we do. But I know if you buy a PRS guitar from us or you buy it from anywhere else, if the guitar's been kept in good condition in the store, you're still going to get a fantastic guitar. Whereas a lot of the other brands, we have to make them right before it gets to the customer. But
that's what I want. I don't want that to start.
Action height and all that kind of things are personal to the customer, or they want different strings on it and all that kind of stuff. And we obviously do all that kind of thing with a price and all that. But there's not a lot of stuff that we have to do to any of these things to get them out to the customers.
All right, so I'm going to say something.
Go.
I sat in the Nuremberg airport all day yesterday.
Yeah.
Had to put my guitar in a seat, which doesn't happen in America, right? Everything was different. All to have this interview, and right now I feel like it was worth every second.
Awesome. No, it was great. Well,
yay.
I've loved, I always love talking to you, Paul, and your enthusiasm is just so much, so needed, because a lot of the time I get bogged down with the internet and all this kind of stuff. And
you used to be an expert, but now the internet it knows better than you.
Of course it does.
But it doesn't.
And I'm happy to I'm happy to go with that. It's fine. But it's really infectious. I know I'll be for weeks. I'll still be really buzzing about having the chat with you as well.
What happens if you have to come back and buy this guitar yourself? Well, you already did buy it yourself.
Well, yeah, this is quite a nice piece.
Yeah,
and but I do quite like that first one that we was playing through. So maybe I'll have to persuade you to let me have that one.
So you want to buy my guitar?
Yeah.
That's 2 people on this trip that want my guitar. Wow, we have a discussion after this video, everybody. Right. Wow.
Let's do it. I think that is a perfect note to end on, Paul. As always, come on, let's do the old-fashioned way.
Hey!
Nice one. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you on the next one.